Hi kids and everyone joining us. Bones and biscuits, we're back with Bimbo and Topsy. We're on to chapter 13 now. It's called A Very Peculiar Thing. Well, Barry knows that Topsy is up to something very funny today, and we're going to read all about it in this chapter. So without much further ado, which means without wasting too much time, let's get started, shall we? Now one day, Topsy felt very hungry indeed. She had been for a long walk by herself, and when she came back, she ran to the place where the enamel bowls were. Wait, Topsy went out by herself? Would you let your pet go out all by themselves? I don't think you should. You should always keep a watch on them, okay? There was no dinner in the first bowl, she sniffed at. Bobs had eaten it all. There was nothing in the small bowl either except a very delicious smell. Cozy and Bimbo had licked up everything there. She went to the third bowl where dry dog biscuits were always kept. There were nearly always something there, but that day there was none. Not a crumb, woofed Topsy to herself in dismay. This is too bad. I'm so terribly hungry, and there isn't even a lick round a plate for me. Well, this happens to most of us, doesn't it? We're always hungry, always looking out for food in the kitchen, and we just want to sit in front of the TV and eat all that we can. Well, I guess Topsy wanted to be like one of us. She sat down in a corner, lifted up her head, and howled. It was a very sad and mournful howl. It made Bimbo jump. He was asleep in the next room, and at first he couldn't think what the noise was. Then it came again. Ooh, ooh. My goodness, it's Topsy, said Bimbo to himself in surprise. What is she making that noise for? Does she think she's singing a song? Bimbo can be quite funny, don't you think so? He ran out to see. Topsy was in the middle of another long woo. Her head well up in the air. It's so typical of dogs to howl like that. Well, that's because dogs come from the wolf family. So the way wolves howl, especially at night, is the same thing that dogs do. Topsy, are you singing? Cried Bimbo. I don't like your voice. Stop. Do stop. Woo, wailed Topsy. I'm so hungry. Well, find something to eat then, said Bimbo crossly. Anyone would think you were Tommy Tucker, singing for your supper. The noise you are making, you woke me up. You're always sleeping, said Topsy. I believe you would sleep all day and night if I didn't wake you up sometimes. Ooh, Topsy, don't. That noise makes me shiver, said Bimbo. Now, let's see, what is there for you to eat? Do you know anything anywhere that I can gobble up? Said Topsy, stopping her howling and looking at Bimbo. I'll share it with you if you can only tell me where to go get something to eat. I'm so hungry, I could almost eat your tail. Now, if you talk like that, I won't think of anything, said Bimbo, putting his tail under him and sitting down on it. Now, what do you feel like? I feel like eating a long string of sausages, said Topsy, or 3 or 4 herrings, or a joint of meat, or a rabbit, or, well, you might know that all those things are impossible, said Bimbo. I believe there's an old kipper head somewhere in the rubbish heap. What about that? A kipper is a kind of a herring. So it's this fish that's small and kind of oily. It seems like Topsy does like eating herrings. No good, said Topsy gloomily. I ate that 2 days ago. Well, what about the dirty old bone Bob's buried last week, said Bimbo. You didn't want it then, but now that you're so hungry, maybe you'd like it. I would, said Topsy, But I dug that up last Saturday and there's nothing left of it now. If only we could find a cake or two in the nursery, said Bimbo. Sometimes the children leave some on a plate. I could jump up on the table and see. Oh, we all need a friend like Bimbo, don't we? Who'll find and hunt food for us, climb up on tables and chairs and make sure we get a piece of cake. The nursery door is shut, said Topsy. I've already been to see. But oh, doesn't a cake sound nice? A lovely, crumbly cake that I could bite up in my mouth. Oh, Bimbo, can't you possibly think where I can get a cake? Oh wow, thinking and talking of cakes is making me hungry. What's your favorite cake? Do you like ones which are nice and plain that you can have with tea? Or do you guys like something creamy like a black forest, a pineapple, a red velvet, cheesecake? Tell me what you like. Bimbo thought very hard indeed. Then his whiskers wagged a little and his blue eyes sparkled. I know, he said. I heard Jillian say this morning that she had put a new cake of soap in the bathroom. I saw it too. It was round like a cake and it was pink. What about that, Topsy? It must be a cake of some sort if Jillian called it a cake. That sounds good, said Topsy, cheering up. Let's go get it. See, this is where the confusion is. Now, what you call as a bar of soap is also known as a cake of soap. So Bimbo thought that a bar of soap was actually some sort of a cake. Do you think Topsy is going to eat soap now? What would happen? Let's see. So off the two of them ran to their bathroom. There was no one there. Topsy put her front paws up on the basin to see where the cake of soap was. She saw it there, nice and round and pink. It really looked good enough to eat. I can't reach it, she woofed. Bimbo, you jump up and push it up for me. So up jumped Bimbo and down came the slab of slippery soap. Plonk! It fell to the floor. Topsy picked it up and put it in her mouth. It tastes a bit funny, she said, and dropped it on the floor again. She sniffed at it. It smells sort of sweet, like the flowers in the garden, she said. But it does taste a bit funny. I expect it's the kind of cake that tastes lovely when it's bitten into, said Bimbo. Give it a chew, Topsy, and see what it's like in the middle. So Topsy picked it up in her mouth again and gave it a good chew. But oh, she didn't like the taste. It was horrible. Bones and biscuits, she woofed. I can't eat it. I can't possibly eat it. It must be poisonous. Oh, I've got little bits left in my mouth. I must spit them out. But you know what soap does when it's wet? It froths up into a lather full of little bubbles, and that's what just happened inside Topsy's wet mouth. Bimbo looked at Topsy in the greatest astonishment. Topsy, you are blowing bubbles, he cried. Oh, you do look funny. Bubbles are coming out of your mouth. Look! I bet this was a really funny sight. Sure enough, big and little bubbles flew out of Topsy's mouth as she breathed. The more she licked round her mouth to stop the bubbles, the more they came, for her mouth was full of soap. Woof, 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 woof. The bubbles kept on and on coming, and Topsy was frightened. She ran out of the bathroom and went downstairs into the garden. There she met Bobs. Tails and whiskers, cried Bobs. Whatever are you doing? Why are you blowing bubbles? Look, there they go flying away in the air. Have you got a bubble pipe in your mouth, Topsy? No, oh no, woofed poor Topsy. And she barked, with some great big bubbles flowing out of her mouth. Some of them went pop on her whiskers, and she didn't like it at all. I'm not blowing the bubbles, they're blowing themselves. Cozy ran up. "Topsy's blowing bubbles," she cried. Then up came Jillian and Imogen and they stared at the puppy in surprise. "Mummy, come quick! Topsy's blowing bubbles out of her mouth," shouted Imogen. "She must have got some soap in her mouth." So Mistress came, and how she laughed when she saw poor Topsy puffing big and little bubbles out of her mouth every time she breathed. "Poor little dog," she said. "You've been trying to eat soap. Don't you know you mustn't eat it? Come with me and I'll put you right." Topsy put her tail down and went with Mistress. She had her mouth washed out with water till all the soap was gone. How glad she was not to have to taste the horrible soap anymore. She ran to tell Bimbo. "I'm all right again," she woofed. "I'm not bubbling anymore." "Topsy, Mistress has just put down some nice new dog biscuits in the bowl," said Bimbo. "Come and have them." But oh, wasn't it a pity? Topsy didn't feel hungry anymore. "I feel sick now," she said, and her tail went down. "I can't eat biscuits or anything. Bobs will eat them all." "Well, I'll hide a few under the rug in your basket," said Bimbo, and he did. So, as soon as Topsy feels well enough to eat again, she'll know where to go. Wow, I love this friendship between Bimbo and Topsy. They seem to be always looking out for each other. You know, taking care of one another if one feels hungry, hiding biscuits under the blanket. That's a great friendship. What do you guys do? What do you like to do for your friends? And what do your friends do for you? Let me know.